Some days it feels like the whole world is too heavy on your shoulders and your soul is worn out. When you wake up, the world seems different, far away, unsure, and almost like a dream you can't get out of. The quiet sadness and the feeling that you're lost in your own thoughts and trying to get back in charge stay with you. This isn't the end, though. It will only take a moment. As Marcus Aurelius said, you control your mind, not outside events. If you understand this, you will be strong. In times of hopelessness, these words are more than just ideas. They're a way out. For example, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus were all Stoics. They believed that suffering is not the end, but the start of knowledge. They show us how to use our pain for good and how to get stronger from sadness. So don't just sit there and feel bad and sad right now. Do something. Here are 5 things you can do to get back in charge. Number 1, let the storm speak. When it comes to emotions, sadness is a formidable adversary. It is possible to experience feelings of being overpowered, stifling, and even intolerable at times. When one is struck by sadness, the first instinct that many people have is to try to push it away, to conceal it by being distracted by other things, or to pretend that it is not there. The reality, however, is that repressing your feelings simply strengthens them and makes them more powerful. Your unhappiness will continue to fester, expand, and finally demand attention in ways that you are unable to manage the more you refuse to acknowledge it. This was something that Stoic thinkers like Seneca had a good understanding of. They did not avoid feeling emotions. Rather, they confronted them head-on, employing clarity and mindfulness in their approach. What you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person, Seneca wrote. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place. Consequently, rather of attempting to escape your feelings of sadness, you should work on altering your relationship with feeling sad. One of the first things that has to be done in order to conquer the storm of emotions is to allow it to speak and to listen to what it has to say. Don't instantly try to hide your feelings of sadness when you're experiencing them. Don't be in a hurry to fill the void with useless entertainment, excessive labor, or even social media and other forms of distraction. Despite the fact that these might provide some relief in the short term, they are nothing more than a band-aid over a more serious wound. Instead, you should sit with your melancholy. Please acknowledge it. Give it permission to exist without passing judgment on it. Stoic philosophy emphasizes acceptance rather than avoidance as its central tenet. One more Stoic philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, frequently reminded himself that life will bring him challenging situations and that it was not the circumstances that caused him to suffer, but rather the way in which he chose to react to those circumstances. You have control over your own thoughts, not over factors that are external to you. When you come to terms with this, you will discover your strength. One of the most fundamental aspects of the Stoic worldview is that the universe might bring about suffering, but it is how you react to it that decides whether or not you will experience peace. Maintain your quiet. Your eyes should be closed. You should take a deep breath, and you should simply be present with the emotions that you encounter. Don't make the mistake of trying to force them away or rushing through them. You should acknowledge the sadness in its most unfiltered form. Record your thoughts in a journal. To avoid censoring yourself, write down exactly what it is that you are experiencing. If you want to give voice to the storm that is raging inside of you, writing down your feelings is a great approach to release it. You can build a separation between yourself and the emotion of melancholy by expressing it verbally or in writing. This can be done in either way. You do not constitute the grief. Rather, you are the individual who is experiencing it. Because it enables you to witness the emotion rather than being overcome by it, this distinction is essential in the process of repairing something. In addition to this, Seneca emphasized the significance of being in tune with one's feelings while simultaneously avoiding allowing them to define one. We experience greater suffering in our imaginations than we do in the real world. According to this, our minds have a tendency to exaggerate the impact of sadness. However, there are times when we can begin to perceive it for what it really is, a fleeting sensation rather than a permanent state, if we simply acknowledge it without putting judgment on it. When you confront your feelings of sadness, you remove the power that it has over you. Sitting with your sorrow and letting it to be is frequently the quickest way to find peace, despite the fact that this may appear to be a paradox. The storm is beginning to lessen in intensity since you are no longer engaged in a conflict with yourself. Furthermore, when you give melancholy the opportunity to speak, you can start to comprehend the deeper message it is trying to convey. Emotions, despite the fact that they are frequently unpleasant, are signals. Whenever there is something in our lives that isn't aligned, they let us know about it. They let us know when there is something that we need to adjust or pay attention to. Contrary to popular belief, the Stoics regarded suffering not as an adversary, but rather as an opportunity for personal development. It is not what happens to you that matters. What matters is how you react to it. Epictetus once exclaimed, "Your capacity to develop as a result of adversity is directly proportional to how you respond to it, regardless of whether it is brought on by a particular occurrence or simply by the stresses of life. Is your grief drawing your attention to the fact that you need to get back in touch with your purpose? Do you feel the need to adjust your routines or show more compassion to yourself as a result of this?" Through the process of allowing your sadness to speak, you will start to discover the knowledge that is beneath the pain. You will not suddenly become immune to feelings of grief if you choose this strategy. It is not necessarily about getting rid of your pain. Rather, it is about comprehending it, experiencing it, and allowing it to pass through you. A natural cycle exists for emotions, particularly the more weighty ones, such as melancholy. After reaching their highest point, they begin to decrease. The more you fight against them, the longer they will continue to endure. You will experience a speedier dissipation of these feelings if you embrace them and allow them to flow through you. You can create a space for healing by allowing the storm to find its voice. The storm is not something that you ignore. Rather, you choose to stand in it, listen to it, and then allow it to pass on its own accord. Healing is a process, and often simply granting yourself permission to experience what you are feeling is all that is required to get the healing process started. Recognize and accept the vulnerability that comes with giving voice to your feelings of melancholy. You discover your strength when you allow yourself to be vulnerable. The storm may appear to last forever, but it will eventually pass, just like every other storm does. In addition, by the time it arrives, you will have acquired a more profound comprehension of both yourself and your feelings. You'll have acquired the ability to go through your feelings of grief with grace and clarity, rather than allowing them to control you. Number 2, move your body. Your body will feel heavy, your thoughts will be cloudy, and the desire to move will appear to be far away while you are experiencing melancholy. This is because sadness has a way of making you feel as though you are trapped in quicksand. Curling up, Remaining motionless and waiting for the sadness to go away on its own is the natural instinct that naturally arises. However, this is the exact moment when you need to get moving. When it comes to overcoming challenges, the Stoics, and Epictetus in particular, stress that taking action is an essential component. He gave the following piece of advice. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you require to do. To put it another way, he is saying something that is both straightforward and profound. Do not wait for the ideal sensation to take action. Rather, take action first, and the sense of motivation will come after. Movement possesses an extraordinary capacity to disrupt the cycle of stagnation and negative thoughts that can be brought about by experiencing grief. The burden of melancholy may make you feel as though you are unable to accomplish anything. Yet movement, even if it is only a small amount, has the ability to change the energy that is present within you. There is no requirement for you to participate in a strenuous training routine or undertake a marathon. There are times when the most effective movement is nothing more than rising up and taking a few steps. An instantaneous change can be brought about by even the slightest amount of physical exertion. Another quote attributed to Epictetus states, "It is not what happens to you that matters. What matters is how you react to it." The experience of sadness is an unavoidable component of life. However, how you respond to it can make a world of difference. One method of demonstrating to your mind that you are not helpless in the face of your feelings is to move your body. By making the conscious decision to take charge, you are actively disrupting the inertia that is frequently brought on by grief. It is not necessary for you to exert yourself to the fullest extent. Begin with the basics. Go for a stroll around the neighborhood. You should be able to feel the wind on your face and the ground beneath your hands. When you move around in certain situations, you are sending a clear signal to your brain that you are not defined by your unhappiness. One can say that you are progressing, both literally and symbolically. When Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations, he was fully aware of the never-ending difficulties that life presented, ranging from the problems he faced in his leadership post to his own personal struggles. Begin each day with the thought that today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, he said. Begin each day with the thought for today. However, rather than withdrawing from the situation, he viewed each obstacle as a chance for personal development. He understood that the only way to overcome hardship is to confront it when it is presented to him. It is the same with regard to your melancholy. The very act of moving your body compels you to interact with life and serves as a reminder that you are still a part of it, despite the struggles that you are experiencing on the inside. Exercising the body in any form, whether it be through walking, stretching, or even a brief workout, can cause a shift in both your mental and emotional condition. Consider the instances in which you have experienced feelings of being overwhelmed and then made the decision to go for a walk or a run. In a short amount of time, you will notice that your breathing begins to normalize, that your thoughts become more clear, and that a subtle shift occurs in your mentality. This is because engaging in physical activity causes your neurological system to be reset. It provides a respite from the mental overload that you may experience as a result of your grief, thereby enabling your mind to readjust. Seneca once remarked, "We suffer more often in what we imagine than in what actually happens to us." When you are experiencing feelings of sadness, it is simple for your mind to fall into a downward spiral, visualizing the worst possible outcomes and residing in negative ideas. Movement, on the other hand, is a direct remedy for this. This mental loop can be broken by physically engaging with your surroundings, which enables your mind to catch up with your body and allow it to function normally. The power of movement is not solely about the act of moving one's body. Rather, it is about re-establishing a connection with the here and now. When you are sad, you frequently have feelings of isolation. That is, the conviction that you are cut off from the world that is all around you. However, one can re-establish a connection with nature and the environment around them by going outside and moving about. There are times when you are able to feel the warmth of the sun or the coolness of the air. You can see the trees, hear the birds, and touch the earth. You are reminded that you are still a part of something that is much bigger than yourself by this straightforward action. The natural world serves as a constant reminder that nothing remains the same for an infinite amount of time. Even when you feel like you are trapped in a rut, everything around you is in a state of perpetual motion. The seasons change, the sun rises and sets, and the sun. A connection with nature might serve as a reminder that the feelings of melancholy you are experiencing are fleeting, much like the changing of the seasons in life. In addition, physical activity stimulates the release of endorphins, which are naturally occurring molecules that improve morale and lower levels of stress. By moving, you are able to literally alter the chemical composition of your brain. If you want to reset your mental state, engaging in physical activity is like pressing the reset button. In addition to relieving tension and lowering cortisol levels, the hormone that causes stress, it also provides your mind with a much-needed break from ruminating. Despite the fact that this does not guarantee that you will experience joy right away, it does make room for you to process your feelings in a more positive manner. It's like getting rid of the clutter so that you can see things more clearly because of it. It is important to remember that even a short walk around the block or a few minutes of stretching can have a significant impact. A simple act of self-care and a demonstration of resilience. Moving your body is a little act that you can perform. Making the choice to move is an act of defiance against the weight of sadness that is trying to pull you into a state of stillness and inactivity. In spite of how you are feeling, you are demonstrating to yourself that you have the ability to maintain control, to move, and to change the energy that you produce. Because you are moving your body, you are not only making progress in terms of your physical health, but you are also making progress in terms of regaining your emotional equilibrium. The Stoics held the belief that the only way to truly find strength is not by avoiding the challenges that life presents, but rather by confronting them with bravery and determination. In that process, movement is a potent instrument that can be used. It demonstrates that you have no control over the difficulties or the depressing feelings, but you do have control over how you react to them. You can get back on track with the support of movement. In addition, even though you may still be experiencing melancholy, you are no longer paralyzed by it. One step, one breath, and one movement at a time, you are continuously moving forward. The healing process starts with this. Number 3, do one powerful thing. People who are sad frequently have a feeling of weight that is crushing. If you are experiencing a bad mood, it may appear as though everything, including every task, every duty, and even the act of getting out of bed, is too difficult to deal with. A downward spiral begins to occur in the mind, and the emotional weight causes even the most basic acts to feel like insurmountable mountains. It is for this reason that it is essential to keep in mind one of the fundamental Stoic principles, which is the significance of action, even in its most basic form. A fundamental lesson is imparted to us by Marcus Aurelius in his work titled Meditations. He states that the impediment to action increases action. That which is in the way eventually becomes the way. Consequently, it is not possible to steer clear of the issues that we encounter, whether they be internal struggles such as grief or external challenges that we encounter in our life. Instead, they have the potential to become engines of expansion. The most important thing is to tackle them, even if it may be something as simple as taking one step forward. When you are overpowered by feelings of melancholy, it is simple to believe that you are unable to take any action. You may be led to believe that you are unable to make any progress because of the weight of your emotions. On the other hand, what if you decided to do just one thing rather than waiting for the melancholy to go away? It could be anything as basic as making your bed, opening the curtains, or washing a few dishes. This specific thing could be anything. It is not necessary for the task to be extraordinary. Rather, it should be something that you are able to accomplish, and something that demonstrates that you are still capable of taking action. The Stoic philosophy shines brightest in this region. The Stoics, and Epictetus in particular, were adamant in their conviction that our capabilities are the source of our strength. Although we are unable to control the external circumstances that we find ourselves in, we always have the ability to choose how we react to them. Like other emotional issues, sadness is something that we are not always able to be in control of. Our behaviors, however, are always under our control. Declaring that you are in charge of the situation is as simple as doing one powerful thing while you are experiencing sadness. It is possible to alter your actions, even if you are unable to alter the way you feel. You go from feeling powerless to feeling capable when you take the time to concentrate on a single activity. This sense of capacity has the potential to have a snowball effect. As you do each of your smaller tasks, momentum will develop. It is similar to producing a ripple effect in your mind. When you complete one task, you start to feel more in control of the situation, and these feelings of control can spread to other aspects of your life. To remind yourself that you are not powerless, the act of doing something, any action, is sufficient. You are able to take action regardless of how you are feeling, and this serves as a reminder of that fact. Taking action will help you feel less enslaved by your feelings of despair. At a time when everything seems to be insurmountable, taking even a single baby step can be an extremely powerful thing. Imagine how much of an emotional weight you may be relieved of simply by doing something as basic as responding to a text message that you have been avoiding, or even just organizing your environment. This seemingly insignificant action is all that is required to transform your perspective from one of immobility to one of movement. And every time you take action, even if it's just the smallest form, you teach your brain that you are not characterized by your grief. Rather, you are defined by your ability to act, to go forward, and to persevere. The sage advice of Marcus Aurelius regarding challenges is applicable to this circumstance. When you are confronted with a state of sadness, you should not wait for it to go away before taking action. Instead, let the misery to serve as the impetus for your actions. Allow it to serve as the impetus for the next move you take. It is possible that you may discover that you have already started to move past the sadness, bit by bit, when you concentrate on completing one thing. In order for you to regain control, the sadness does not have to disappear. You are able to respond to it by taking action. You earn a sensation of authority each time you do a task, regardless of how insignificant it may be. You bring to your attention the fact that you are yet capable of making advancements. This technique of focusing on one item at a time is not simply about overcoming feelings of depression. Rather, it is about regaining control over your day and your life. It's about demonstrating to yourself that you are still capable of doing action, regardless of the feelings that you are experiencing at the moment. The Stoics were aware of the fact that difficulties and roadblocks were not something that should be avoided. Rather, they were occasions to put one's character to the test, to demonstrate resiliency, and to demonstrate one's strength. It is important to keep in mind that you do not have to deal with everything at once while you are experiencing feelings of grief. The most important thing is to focus on doing just one powerful thing. The influence of that one thing may appear to be insignificant, but it is actually rather significant. It creates a sense of momentum. Your energy is altered as a result, and before you realize it, one straightforward activity might lead to the next, and the feeling of melancholy starts to feel less oppressive. The force of action lies not in the magnitude of the work at hand, but rather in the act itself. In the process of doing one thing, you begin to regain your power, and in doing so, you open the door to healing and progress. Number 4, speak truth to your mind. It is possible for sadness to impair our judgment and distort our perception of reality. It's easy to let yourself get led astray by a negative internal dialogue that feeds you lies about yourself and your position while you're experiencing unpleasant emotions. Some of the thoughts that grow loud and compelling include, "You're not enough," "No one cares," and "This pain will never end." These thoughts just serve to deepen the grief that is already there. The Stoics, and Epictetus in particular, were aware of the fact that it is not the events themselves that cause us to feel uneasy. Rather, it is the judgments that we ascribe to events. According to Epictetus, it is not the events themselves that unsettle us. Rather, it is our judgments about them. It may be deduced from this that the state of being sad is not the issue in and of itself. The difficulty lies in the narrative that we tell ourselves about our feelings of sadness, as well as the significance that we ascribe to those feelings. Take a minute to step back and evaluate the thoughts that are going through your head whenever you encounter feelings of being overpowered by grief. Despite the fact that these thoughts could appear to be accurate, they are frequently skewed. You give these notions power over you the moment you acknowledge them as legitimate truths. In spite of this, you have the ability to confront those thoughts. This narrative that your mind is telling you can be rewritten by you. Practicing this powerful technique will help you start to break free from the hold that melancholy has on your mental state. To begin, you should jot down the negative ideas that you have about your current circumstance, such as, "I am not enough," "No one cares," and "This is long-lasting." Turn those thoughts around then. Add the truth to them and rewrite them. "I am doing my best, and that is enough. There are people who care, and I can reach out to them. Feelings are temporary, and I have made it through hard times before." In spite of the fact that we are unable to influence the external conditions, Epictetus taught us that we have control over our own ideas. On the other hand, we always have the ability to choose how we react to the external situations that we are confronted with. This choice gives you more power. The feelings that you are experiencing do not render you helpless. The things that your grief does its best to tell you do not define who you are. It is possible to begin regaining control of your mind when you address these negative beliefs with the facts. Even if you are still experiencing sadness, it is no longer able to exert the same influence over your thoughts and beliefs as it once did. You are able to pull yourself away from the emotional tempest by rewriting the narrative. Your sadness is not who you are. The only person who goes through it is you. This momentary adjustment of perspective, however a minor one, is sufficient to bring about clarity and tranquility. According to Epictetus, what matters is not what happens to you. What matters is how you react to it. Your mental space can be reclaimed if you make the conscious decision to respond to your feelings of melancholy with truth. The negative narrative is no longer allowed to take the lead in your life. When you tackle such lies with a more stable and realistic perspective, you regain control of the situation. Accepting the fact that feelings, such as melancholy, are only fleeting is another component of speaking the truth to your mind. The meditations of Marcus Aurelius serve as a reminder to us that everything that happens is in accordance with nature, and that if you are in harmony with nature, you will not be disturbed. Feelings are a normal component of the human experience. They are not a choice. However, they are not always present. Every time a new season arrives, our emotions also shift and alter. When you tell yourself that this melancholy will pass with time, and that you have persevered through and triumphed over challenging moments in the past, you start to view it for what it is, a fleeting moment, not a permanent state. Consistently challenging your mind's tendency to focus on the negative and replacing those thoughts with truths that empower you is the key to moving forward in this situation. Remember that you are valuable, that you are surrounded by love and support, and that you have successfully navigated challenging situations in the past. Instead of falling into a downward spiral of hopelessness, say the truth to your mind. Regaining your emotional equilibrium and gaining the insight to move forward are both benefits that come from engaging in this process of self-talk. Instead of allowing melancholy to dictate the course of your life, you will find that the more you engage in the practice of speaking truth to your mind, the more you control the narrative of your life. Your feelings are not invalidated by this adjustment in viewpoint. Rather, it merely enables you to notice them without allowing them to make you who you are. Your sadness is not who you are. You are experiencing feelings of melancholy. You can also remind yourself that you are more powerful than the feelings that you are experiencing by stating the truth to your thoughts. Number 5, find something still beautiful. When one is experiencing sadness, there comes a point where everything seems to feel as though it has collapsed into gray. The world is slowly losing its form. You cease paying attention to the specifics. The things that used to cause you to halt, such as the color of the sky at sunset, the sound of laughter reverberating from a nearby street, and the way leaves glisten in the breeze, can no longer be seen because of the anguish that you are experiencing. The problem is not that beauty has disappeared. When you are depressed, your vision becomes more limited until you are unable to see anything at all. The Stoics, on the other hand, remind us that beauty needs not be lost. It is still present. It is silent. It is constantly present. And it is patiently waiting for your eyes to open once more. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness, Seneca once stated. These words are still relevant today. This encompasses the act of being considerate enough to recognize the world's unassuming gifts, even when you are experiencing pain. Particularly when you are experiencing pain. When you are in the midst of experiencing intense emotional suffering, beauty may appear to you as a betrayal, as if it were something that no longer belongs in your reality. However, it does. It is without a doubt true. Simply because being beautiful does not require you to be content. Nothing on your part is required to do this. Your only request is that you take notice, that despite the fact that you are feeling broken, you are willing to be a witness to something beautiful. Marcus Aurelius, who was carrying the weight of an empire on his shoulders, while also suffering enormous personal losses, found space in his notebooks to reflect on the basic things that were important to him. "Dwell on the beauty of life," he said in his book. "Keep your eyes on the stars, and imagine yourself jogging alongside them." That is hardly an optimistic outlook. The option is yours. Perspective is the key. One must have the conviction that even in the midst of darkness, the stars continue to shine, and that looking up is an act of fortitude. How then do you get started when there is nothing that feels beautiful? You do not sit around and wait for beauty to knock on your door in some big fashion. You go in search of it in a stealthy manner, carefully. It is without anticipation. Maybe it's the warmth of the light that's coming in through the window and hitting your skin. Is it possible that it is the sluggish breath of your pet that is lying next to you? The aroma of something that is familiar to you, such as coffee, cinnamon, or rain on dry pavement, could be the cause. These are the things that grief makes an effort to lull into silence, but they are still present and active, like gentle threads of connection that bring one back to the here and now. Feelings of gratitude and inspiration are not required of you. Please take note. That is sufficient. Recognizing something is a form of healing. When you are not feeling beautiful on the inside, there is a holy power that comes from being able to recognize beauty. When your mind thinks the world is empty and terrible, and yet your eyes observe a bird building a nest, or the peaceful devotion of an ancient tree bending towards the light, that is a quiet protest. That is your spirit letting you know that it is still present. This was something that the Stoics had a profound understanding of. They held the belief that at every given moment, regardless of how distressing it may be, we have the ability to choose how we will react. And the decision to perceive beauty, even through tears, is not the same thing as denial. It is a source of strength. It is the presence of it. What's more, the beauty you discover might not always be found outside. You will find it within. Just getting out of bed was a challenge that required a lot of strength. Having the bravery to face another day is called for. Despite the fact that your chest is making you feel heavy, you are still making an effort to breathe through it. I just adore that. That is very in-depth. You are not immune to suffering. Neither are you immune to awe and awe-inspiring things. Both tears and gentleness, as well as anguish and grace, are able to coexist. Therefore, pick one thing, one little thing that is nevertheless quite wonderful. Permit it to break the downward cycle of melancholy. Remember that you are still a part of this world, and that the world still has things to offer you. Allow this to serve as a reminder. There is not as much distance between you and life as you believe. Not all of the colors have disappeared. They are simply awaiting your return so that they may see you again. On the other hand, when you catch even the tiniest sight of something lovely, you start to find your way back. It is not all at once, 1 minute at a time, however. Take it one step at a time. Take one breath at a time. Sadness does not mean that beauty is lost. It does nothing but conceal it. But what about you? You are permitted to see what is going on. It's not always going to be like this for you. Those feelings of melancholy that you are experiencing right now will not linger forever. It is important to keep in mind that you have options when it is happening. It is possible to either remain in your pain or to go through it. You may either let your unhappiness to define you, or you can utilize it to grow. We were not taught to escape suffering by the Stoics. Rather, They taught us how to face it with bravery and clarity. Permit the storm to speak, move your body, engage in one activity that develops momentum. Tell your mind the truth and look for anything beautiful. These methods are not merely coping tactics. Rather, they are routes to one's own power. Even when you are feeling miserable and depressed, you are not helpless. You are armed with the methods necessary to triumph over it, and you will do so. Simply keep going in the same direction.